If you could just paint a picture, broad brushstrokes of what you were doing when you were at that position in the military, because I understand part of it's obviously R&D related. I imagine part of it's also tactical. What kind of buckets of things were you doing, and what did your day-to-day work look like?
It really varied, and I had, a number of different positions. So everything from what are the biggest opportunities, trying to identify the biggest opportunities for enhancing performance. Turns out if I make everyone run a little bit faster, there's a pretty big question about how much that translates into battlefield effectiveness. But what if I could make it twice as quick to train people? Or what if I could make people more rapidly understand what commanders were communicating? What if I could make people trust each other better or more quickly? So, again, there's very different things that you might want to optimize, and knowing which ones you want to optimize is really important because you need to invest against that and you have limited resources, even with the budget as big as the military's. Second piece is what are our biggest threats? We thought a lot about potential future biological weapons threats. Some of those things I would say helped me mentally model what was going to happen with COVID. But what are the biggest threats as well as opportunities? And then the second piece is more on the all right, how do we take people who have a specific mission and optimize them? And that could be at the very individual scale we talked about with thinking about how do I accelerate the recovery of these Navy SEALs? How do I take them and optimize their performance on an 8-hour dive mission? You can imagine what it's like to scuba dive on an 8-hour mission in cold water. This is right at the edge of what humans can do, which is why they're really incredible performers. But there are all kinds of things that could change their physiology in ways you might want to, but you've got to be really careful about unintended consequences. I was working with some fighter pilots, and we had figured out there was a phenomenon that was affecting how they felt when they came back from missions, and it was affecting altitude and pressure and other things. And so some of the initial things we tried with them made them feel much better, solve some of these dramatic cognitive challenges, but lowered their blood pressure a little bit. And there's like one group roughly in the world that wants higher blood pressure. I mean, I guess there's some people who have naturally low blood pressure, but almost everybody wants to lower their blood pressure for longevity reasons. But if you lower a pilot's blood pressure, their G tolerance can go down. And so you have to be really careful about unintended consequences. And then, from those very individual things to like, how do we optimize the bigger force? And so I took 450 Army cadets and put them through a double blind placebo controlled study on using optimized nutrition and supplements to, get them performing better during training. And they do, much better. They drop 30 seconds off their 2-mile run time. They, have better mood and sleep and energy levels. They're more dedicated to actually their job and mission. So I felt very lucky to be able to work across the board on these different human performance topics.
Mm-hmm.